Hi, boys and girls. I wanted to hop on here real quick and just teach you a little bit about the rainforest. The rainforest will be our focus for writing and science the next couple of weeks. And I just wanted to give you a little bit more information about the rainforest, what it is, the different layers of the rainforest, and some of the animals that live there. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey to the rainforest. Tropical rainforest, a closer look at paradise. Now, where in the world? Rainforests are located in the tropics, which is the area that is north and south of the equator. So if you look at this map, the equator is that line that is running horizontally, and it goes through the center of the earth. Now, it is an imaginary line, so we don't actually see it drawn on the earth, but it is meant to separate the earth into its northern, which is the top hemisphere, and then the southern, which is the bottom hemisphere. So tropical rainforests are found along the area of the equator. And that is because the equator is the part of our world that receives the most direct sunlight all the time. The dark green areas on this map represent where rainforests are located around the world. As you can see in comparing the rainforest area, the dark green, to the rest of the land, the light green, and then the white for some of those Arctic and Antarctic areas, rainforests do not cover a lot of our Earth. It represents only about 6% of the Earth's total surface, but yet it provides us with over 40% of our oxygen. We have to remember that in the rainforest, there are thousands upon thousands of different trees and plants that are growing, and those plants and trees give off oxygen into our air, and that is something we need in order to survive. Now, these areas are very, very hot and humid. Humid means there's a lot of moisture in the air. And the temperatures average between 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's like a really hot summer day for us. But these temperatures are constant. The day and night temperatures in the rainforest don't change much, like how here in the summer months, sometimes the evenings get a little cooler, a little chillier. But in the rainforest, we see a constant 80 to 90 degrees. And that's both during the summer and winter months. Sometimes the temperatures can even get a little hotter than that. Now, it is estimated that nearly half, 50% of the world's plant and animal species live in tropical rainforests. So this habitat on Earth is extremely important because it provides homes to many, many of our animals. And some animals are only found in rainforests. So if we were to lose or destroy all of the rainforests that we have on the earth, a lot of animals would be in danger or extinct. All right, so next, let's take a look at the different layers of the rainforest. Because the rainforest is made up of very large, tall trees that grow, we see a lot of different layers form in the rainforest. So there are 4 primary layers of the rainforest. Starting at the bottom, we have the forest floor. Then we have a layer called the understory. Next up is the canopy. And the very topmost layer is called the emergent layer. And rainforests are divided into these different layers of vegetation, each with its own unique plant and animal life. That's how scientists are able to separate the rainforest into these different layers, because there's different plants that grow in each layer, and there are different animals that reside in each layer of the rainforest. Each layer is extremely different, but also very important to the plants and animals that live there. So we're going to go a little deeper into each layer. At the forest floor, typically it's very dark and it's mostly covered by dirt and leaves. The reason it's dark is because only about 2% of sunlight actually reaches the forest floor. And when we talk about the upper layers, the canopy kind of blocks out a lot of the sunlight because of the leaves and the trees that are kind of intertwined with one another. It really does create like an umbrella over the rainforest. So there's not a lot of sunlight that gets directly through down to the forest floor. Down here, you're going to find many large animals like giant anteaters, jaguars, leopards, okapis. And in this layer, decomposition takes place. And this is where we have decomposers, which are like our fungi and microorganisms. And they work to break down dead plants and dead animals. And they recycle those nutrients from those plants and animals back into the soil. Now, this happens much quicker in the rainforest because it's very hot and humid. In our area, if you were to see, maybe a deer that had unfortunately got hit by a car on the side of the road, that deer might be there for 6 to 8 weeks before it fully decomposes. But in the rainforest, this happens much quicker because the temperature and environment is more suitable for those decomposers. Next, we have the understory. This is a very hot and damp layer of the rainforest, and the air is very stagnant. That means it's very stale, maybe kind of like musty. I always think of it as like an old basement that just kind of has that odd smell to it. And that is because there's not a lot of air circulation. There's not a lot of wind that blows through because there's so many trees and vines and branches that everything is just kind of there. It's stuck. So the air is very stale. There are a lot of young trees that we find in this area that are hoping to make their way up to the canopy. And there's a lot of vines that grow through this area. So when you think of a jungle and everything being intertwined and lots of vines to swing from, you're thinking of the understory. Since only a small amount of sunlight reaches this layer, we'll typically find that the plants, they have really big, broad leaves, and that is an adaptation to help make sure that those plants can capture as much sunlight as it can. So the more space they take up, the better their chances of catching some sunlight. A lot of animals will use camouflage to hide themselves from predators in this area. So we have a lot of tree frogs that'll blend in with the greens and the browns in this layer. A lot of snakes also would blend in with the vines, and the green boa constrictors, green tree snakes would blend in here. We also have a lot of lizards in this area, chameleons. Sometimes monkeys will come down into this area. And also some of the members of the cat family, like jaguars and tigers, they will climb upon those fallen down trees or branches, and that's typically where they will sleep, rested upon those fallen logs and things. Also, there's a large amount of insects in this area. Insects love places that are kind of moist and warm, and places that are kind of dark for them just to kind of move around in. So we see a lot of insects in the understory. The next layer is the canopy. And as I mentioned before, the canopy is like a very large umbrella protecting the ground below it from sunlight and heavy rainfall. The canopy is basically the treetops. So this layer, it receives the most sunlight and the most rainfall, nearly 30 feet of rain each year. The trees in this area can grow to be 100 feet tall, and they contain colorful fruits and flowers. So because the treetops have a lot of fruits and flowers, that actually is the food for many animals in the rainforest. So we will find a lot of animals living up in the canopy layer of the rainforest. And so sometimes there's some competition over food and a living space. Some animals will mark their territory, or they will give off a warning call to others if they are getting too close to their area. And so we see a lot of animals here fighting for their food and for living space. Very noisy up in this area as well. So we have a lot of animals that are good climbers and animals that can fly in this area. So we've got sloths. Sloths spend most of their time in one tree their entire life, and typically up in the treetops all week long until they come down to the bottom once to go to the bathroom, once a week. Can you imagine that? So we have sloths in the canopy, tons and tons of birds like toucans, quetzals, macaws, and different species of monkeys up in this area, like the howler monkey. We would have, flying squirrels that actually don't fly, they just glide. But we see a lot of those types of animals here in the canopy. The next layer is the emergent layer, and this is just for those few trees that grow beyond the canopy, and they can reach heights as tall as skyscrapers. So these are those very tall trees that emerge or kind of poke through the canopy. These trees, because they're so tall and reach so high, they have to deal with a lot of harsh winds during tropical storms, as well as a lot of direct sunlight. So that could be, kind of a negative thing for those trees being so tall. Animals that live in the emergent layer are going to be those animals that can fly. Animals like the harpy eagle and butterflies, insects, toucans, other birds like that that can get up into that emergent area. These animals are very important to the rainforest because they help to pollinate the plants below them. A lot of the animals up here maybe are herbivores, so they eat plants and fruit. And whenever they go to the bathroom, they sometimes will deposit the seeds from the fruit that they eat, and those seeds will fall to the forest floor, and sometimes they will take root and grow into new plants and new trees. Why are rainforests important? Not only are they beautiful habitats around the equator, they provide us with nearly 2,000 plants that can be eaten or used as ingredients for many foods that we enjoy. So I have a list here of just a few, very few things that come from the rainforest, but there is so much more. Stuff like coffee, corn, rice, chocolate, bananas, beans, mangoes, stuff for our chewing gum, lemons, potatoes, sugar, vanilla, tapioca, avocados, coconut, cinnamon, tea, pineapples, oranges, nuts, and so much more. Also, many plants that grow in the rainforest are used in medicines that help cure diseases or medicines that help people live a comfortable life. And so those plants are very important. And some of these plants can only be found in rainforests. Also, rainforests are important because some people live in the rainforest. Some people are indigenous to the area, meaning that their family and ancestors before them have lived in this particular area in different parts of rainforests around the world. And so they live there and they build their homes out of trees, vines, and leaves. So not only are rainforest habitats to plants and animals, but also people. And why is this important? Well, over the last several years, rainforests have been destroyed. It's hard to believe, but rainforests are being destroyed by us, people, every single day at a very, very rapid rate. We are destroying rainforests in order to build cattle ranches for logging companies. Mining industries are clearing the land to go in and mine. Tourism, meaning people are traveling there. We're destroying the rainforest to build shopping centers and malls and just random things like that. And this is a very devastating thing to happen because it's causing many species of animals to become extinct, meaning When an animal is extinct, it is gone forever. And because many animals only live in the rainforest, they can only survive in these tropical areas. When we destroy their homes, we are destroying their lives forever. So far, almost 90% of West Africa's rainforests have already been destroyed. Madagascar has lost nearly 2/3 of its rainforest since the arrival of man nearly 2,000 years ago. So we are causing a lot of destruction to rainforests, and people are thinking about the profit now, not thinking to the future later, and the effects that destroying the rainforest will later have. So it is very important to learn about the rainforest, to understand its beauty, and to help. And if we were at school each year for the last several years, third graders have come together and have raised money to actually purchase areas of rainforest around the world. And so we had worked for many years to save parts of the rainforest. And unfortunately, that's not something we'll be able to do this year. But perhaps next year, when you are in fourth grade and third graders are doing this project, maybe you could consider donating $1 or $2 towards our cause, and we could purchase double the amount of rainforest land to save. I just think the rainforest is a wonderful place to explore. There's so many animals and plants to learn about that I encourage you to go out and explore the rainforest. Now, I'm not talking about hopping on a plane and flying down to Africa or South America or going to Madagascar, but there are many wonderful shows that you can watch that talk about the rainforest. Planet Earth is a wonderful show that shows beautiful places all around our Earth, and they have a jungle episode that we would always watch at school. And so I'm going to try to find some links for it and post that in my assignments over the next week or so. And I just encourage you to learn more about the rainforest. I hope you learned something new today with the layers of the rainforest. It might come in handy next week with our writing assignment too. If you have any questions or you'd like to know more about something particular with regards to the rainforest, just let me know. That's all for now, guys. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.